Good morning, Facebook Live. Welcome. All levels yoga class. Starting in about 5 minutes, so giving people the time to jump on. So if you're in the process of joining the class, you'll just need something to sit on at the beginning. So grab that, and we'll start in a few more minutes. I'm just waiting for people to hop on and to link up with Zoom. Can't get in the Zoom, somebody's saying. So, just make sure I wrote down the right number. So, the Zoom says it's not valid. So I'm just going to look that up and see what the issue is. Hi Donna, I'm just trying to figure out if I have the right number. So, can you tell Daisy that, please? Can you actually, Donna? Are you still there? Are you still there? Can you tell me the Zoom meeting that you're using is 669-641-869? Hi, Wendy. Yeah, the Zoom isn't working. I know. I think I put in the wrong number. Yeah, others are pointing it out. So, let's see.
Sometimes you can go in.
Oh, there, Nadia. Hello, Nadia.
Right away instead of setting it up.
Sorry, Donna. What are you saying, Donna?
Okay.
What did you say?
I was saying maybe you could start a new meeting.
Yeah.
Maybe you could start a new meeting.
I don't know how to do that. So I'm going to just try. So Nadia got on. I'm just going to ask Nadia how come she got on. Hi, Nadia. I'm just going to unmute you. So Nadia,
Okay.
you got on Zoom. How did you do that? so the meeting number should be 699-641-869 for Zoom. I think Nadia's frozen. Donna, was that the meeting number? Six nine.
69.
Oh no, it's 699.
69.
699. Oops, that's the problem.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm gonna try if I can set that up. Nadia, you're gonna stay here. So the Zoom link number is wrong. It's 699 instead of 669. So I'm just gonna go on the website and see if I can very quickly change that. And so we'll just take a couple more minutes for people to get going. Yeah, there's a mistake with the Zoom number. So I'm just going to update the website with the correct number. No, you stay. It'll just take me a couple more minutes to on Facebook. I'll just take a If you're trying to get on Zoom, it's 699 instead of 669. So I'm just trying to change that quickly on the website. Oh, that's the problem with these things. So Wendy and Carrie, nice to see you this morning. I'll just give everybody a moment or two extra to get in to Zoom if they can. So, of course, with multiple windows open on my computer, it's a little slower. So these are all the challenges. So 699, if you're wanting to go back in the Zoom meeting, is the first three numbers. So much for double checking all of that. Nadia. Oh, some people got on. I'm just going to, well, maybe I'm not. Hello, good morning everyone on Zoom now.
It's not like we're going anywhere.
Yeah, I know. Just frustrating on my end. Oh, there.
Yeah, sorry.
So my computer's really slow because it doesn't like to have Zoom open and update my website at the same time. I'm just going to, well, maybe I'm not. Nadia. Hello, good morning everyone on Zoom now. I'm just going to.
Hi there.
Morning everyone on Zoom now.
Good morning, Gary.
Hello. All I see is your chest. It's a very handsome chest.
I worked very hard to get into update my website. Hi.
I'm almost in.
Oh yeah. Indeed, very slow.
Yeah. It's very slow this morning. I think I'm not going to update the website right now. And I'm just going to go with who we have. Because it's taking...
Because, you know, I when it didn't work, I just... Too long.
No, Carrie, what did you say?
I just went on Facebook and I found you.
Yes.
Because I found last week you were freezing. So Facebook was better.
I think Facebook is better sometimes, but not always.
How to get to Facebook?
Yeah. For me, anyway, it was better.
So I'm almost ready. It's very slow this morning. I think I'm not going to update the website right now. And I'm just going to go with who we have.
Oh, wow. It's really slow.
I think Facebook. Yeah, there is a Zoom meeting number, Ellen. It's 699. I just updated the website with the correct number. So I had made a mistake when I typed it in. So you can go on Zoom or you can start here. Zoom is acting quite slow this morning, so you may end up feeling like Facebook Live is the better choice. So, here I am. That's done. So we're gonna start and see how we go. Is it better now? Hi, Susan. I'm sorry, I typed in the wrong number on Zoom. So on the website, I just corrected it. So the Zoom platform is now available, but it's acting quite slow. So you may want to stay on Facebook. And we're going to start now. So thank you. Hi, Daisy and Michael. Hi, Donna. Hi, Carrie. Hi, Wendy. Hi, Nadia and Lawrence. Hi, Susan. Hi, Ellen. Thanks for your patience.
Hi.
So, let's start. Hi, Kat and Dan. Sorry, I had the wrong number in the Zoom note on the website, but now you've arrived. So, is Zoom a little better now that I closed the web page? Yes, no. Hi, Ellen. Okay, so what you need for class is just something to sit on here at the beginning and then something to support the knees. Susan, if you want to go into Zoom now, you can. The correct number is up on the website, or it's 699 are the first three letters, numbers. Okay. The wonders of technology. Challenge to edit myself. So, take a good seat. Thank you for persevering and making it on. It's nice to see you all. So, I'm going to share a quote from a book called Consolations, the solace, nourishment, and underlying meaning of everyday words. And it's by David Whyte. He's a contemporary poet and writer. And he has each chapter around one word. And so the first chapter, the word alone. So he says, to be alone for any length of time is to shed an outer skin. The body is inhabited in a different way when we are alone than when we are with others. Alone, we live in our bodies as a question rather than a statement. And I think that last line, the whole thing is meaningful, but that last line has a lot of relevance for our asana practice. Alone, we live in our bodies as a question rather than a statement. And so whether we're doing the asana practice with other people or not, there is always a sense of aloneness in our yoga practice because we are by ourselves on the mat, and even with the teacher and the other students present, which they may or may not be right now, the practice of yoga is ultimately a solitary experience. And when we do the yoga practice, it is suggested, even outside of this quote, it is suggested that we approach the poses and our body's response to the poses as a question rather than a statement. And sometimes with alignment, when you're given instructions about how to move your body in the pose, there is this idea that it is a statement. It has to be like this. And for our practice this morning, and for all practices, I invite you to take all of the alignment suggestions, all of the instructions for the pose with the question. And if we wanted to probe into the question a little more fully, the question would be how much and when. So the instructions, the alignment instructions are to be brought in and then to be applied with the question of how much and when. So meaning today or not today, and to what degree do I bring that instruction into my body. And as a consequence, we learn how to inhabit our being in the space of the unknown as a vehicle of exploration. And that's really a key, that we can explore and experiment with our form through the practice and then translate that into daily life. So with that in mind, take a moment and close your eyes. And settle your attention into your breath. And as you tune into the breath and settle into the body, take a moment to just survey how you're meeting your practice this morning. So how is the body feeling? How's the mind feeling? How fluid and available is the breath? And invite that the movement practice this morning is an ongoing exploration of our body, our mind, and our breath. And that we're exploring it with the curiosity of asking a question, rather than with the finality of making a statement. And then with your next exhalation, join your hands together at your heart. Tune into the breath again. And now, with the thumbs against the center of the chest, feel into the center space of the torso, the heart of you. And from there, we'll Om 3 times. Exhale. Take a deep breath in. And then if you know Om Namah Shivaya Gurave, we'll do one cycle of that chant. And if you don't, you can sit quietly. Inhale. Om Namah Shivaya Gurave Sadanda Murtaye Prapanchaya Antaya Niralambaya Tejase. And gently bow your head to your heart. Release your hands. Lift your head. Gently open your eyes. And then come over onto your hands and knees. So if you need a blanket for your knees on the floor, place the blanket across the mat. Separate hip bone distance apart. Place your hands shoulder distance apart. And then we'll simply move the spine in the cat-cow directions with the breath. So as you exhale, you tilt the tailbone down and round your spine up toward the sky. Release your head. As you inhale, lift the tailbone, sway your spine toward the earth, fall slightly. Continue to move like this with the breath, inviting the movement to begin at the base of the spine at the tailbone and end at the crown of the head. And explore the movement. How much is appropriate? When can I do more? Or where can I do more? Where can I do less? So that even though these are movements that you've done before, we have not met the body in this movement today until now. And that invites the exploration and the question of how am I meeting myself today? One more time all the way through. when you finished your next inhale, looking forward or up slightly, exhale, pause in a neutral position. So with the spine relatively parallel to the ground, extend your right leg straight back behind you with the toes on the floor. Scoop up the low belly and shift your hips to the right enough that you feel an engagement in the outside of your left hip and is evenly positioned on both legs. Keeping that sense, take the right leg up to hip height. Pause there. Spin the inner leg more up toward the sky. Keep the low belly lifted and the outer hip pulling in. And then if it's appropriate, stretch the left arm along the left ear. Breathe. So we're strengthening muscles between the vertebrae of the spine. Inhale, exhale, hand and knee down, pause. Notice if you have to make large adjustments to come back into a centered position. And use that just as information to play with on the second side. So now the left leg straight back behind you. Lift the top of the thigh bone up. Hug the outside of the right hip in and scoop up the low belly. Then take the left leg up to hip height. Turn the inside edge of the leg up toward the sky more. And then either stay here or stretch the right arm out alongside the right ear. Reach back through the inside edge of your left heel and stretch forward through the fingertips of the right hand. Breathe. And feel into all the experience of the body. And notice what might need to happen to pull you more fully into the experience. Inhale. Exhale, hand and knee down. Walk the knees back a little bit or your hands a little more forward in preparation for plank pose. So in plank, bring the shoulders over the wrists, but now drop the shoulder blades away from your ears and slightly bend your elbows to the draw the low belly up, and then keeping the low belly up, stretch one leg straight and then the other. Feel the shoulder blades settle down away from the ears and widen slightly out away from the spine. Draw up the low belly and rotate the buttocks toward the heels. And how much you do that depends on your capacity to keep the width across the back of the body and to feel that your core is holding you. Make the legs strong and straight. Couple more breaths. Inhale. Exhale, drop your knees to the ground. Step your right foot all the way up beside your right hand. Keep the left knee down on the ground. So if you need to, grab a blanket to support the left knee or flip over the edge of your mat. Bring your right knee directly over your right heel. Keeping your right heel heavy, turn the outside edge of your left hip more forward. And then breathe. So for me, I actually feel more sensation on the front of the left thigh when I keep my hands down on the ground. But if you feel more, or you want less sensation, and bringing your hands up to your front knee is a better choice, then choose that. Constantly remember that we're using the movement of the body in these positions as an exploration. And in that exploration, we inhabit the body more and more and more deeply. One more breath here. And then exhale. Shift your hips back, change sides. So step the left Left knee over left heel. Walk the right knee back as needed. Rotate the outside of the right hip forward toward the left big toe. Keep your fingertips on the ground or put your hands up on your front knee as you did on the first side. Drop the shoulder blades and breathe. So experiment with how deeply to bend the front knee and how much to drop the pelvis forward. So easing off a little bit might bring more freedom to the breath. And moving more fully in gives you more sensation on the front of the right thigh. So you're experimenting with what's making sense for you. One more breath. And then hands flat, step your front knee back and drop down onto your elbows. Place your elbows shoulder distance apart. Interlace the fingers. We're going to do forearm plank. If you would like more challenge, keeping your hands apart may make it more challenging. Bring the shoulders over the wrists, but draw the shoulder blades away from the ears. Draw up the low belly and tilt the tailbone slightly down toward the ground. Keep that. Again, stretch the legs straight, one at a time. So you're roughly making a straight line from your hips to your shoulders. Keep the shoulder blades away from your ears. Scoop up the low belly. And as you press back through the heels, reach forward through the crown of the head. Take the face back away from the ground just a little bit. One more breath. Exhale. Drop your knees to the ground. Come back up on your hands and knees. With your hands shoulder distance apart and your knees hip width apart, scoop up the low belly so that the lower back stays long. And then we're going to invite movement into the upper back, into the thoracic spine. So with the shoulder blades away from your ears, as you exhale, just sink the spine between the shoulder blades into the body so that your chest moves a little closer to your thumbs. As you inhale, push into the hands and round the upper back up toward the sky. As you exhale, sink the center of the heart down. Keep the low belly relatively quiet. Inhale, back of the heart. Exhale down, a couple more times. So you really want to feel the movement of the shoulder blades away from the spine and in toward the spine, but also the spine between the shoulder blades, rounding up toward the sky on the inhale and arching down toward the earth on the exhale. One more time. And then come back to your position. Drop back down onto your elbows. Change the interlacing of the fingers if you interlaced your hands, or again, hands apart, forearm plank a second time. So with the shoulders over the elbows, draw the shoulder blades away from your ears. Scoop up the low belly, tilt the tailbone slightly down, and then tuck one toe, set of toes under, stretch the legs straight, repeat. So both legs are straight and your feet relatively close together. Keeping the shoulder blades away from the ears, draw up the low belly and tilt the tailbone toward the heels. Reach the crown of the head forward and press back through your heels. Breathe. And then exhale, knees to the ground, come back up onto your hands and knees. And then one more time, we'll do a few rounds of that thoracic spine mobilizer. So hands shoulder distance apart, knees hip distance apart. Scoop up the low belly so your tailbone slightly tilts down. Bring the shoulder blades away from your ears. And then as you exhale, sink the center of the chest down toward the thumbs. Inhale, round up toward the sky. A few more times like this. Again, feeling into the questions of how much movement can I bring into the thoracic spine while keeping the shoulder blades away from the ears? How much am I moving in my lower back or tilting my pelvis to make that happen? And how much is this impacting the breath? One more time. And then last abdominal exercise, plank pose a second time. So with the shoulders over the wrists, draw the shoulder blades down. Keep the low belly up. Turn the tailbone down and then plank round 2. Slightly bend the elbows to the sides. Drop the low belly. Rotate the buttocks toward the heels. Stretch back through the heels, reach out through the crown of the head. Inhale. Exhale, drop your knees to the ground. And again, step your right foot up beside your right hand. So with your right knee over your right heel, walk your left knee back a little bit and bring your hands up to your front knee. So for stability, press into your front heel and hug the outer hips in. So that engagement is relative to how much stabilizing you need in this position. Now scoop up the low belly just like you did in the abdominal plank poses. And keeping that, bring the shoulders over the hips while letting the hips sit down. And bring your elbows up to a cactus position. So the points of the elbows are slightly below the tops of the shoulders. Press the top of the upper arm bones back. Move your head back. And now bring the spine between the shoulder blades into the body and lift the center of the chest up a little bit. It's not a big lift. It's just really feeling the shoulder blades in the upper back and the lift across the front of the chest. One more breath so you're not curling more in the lower back to make that happen. And then exhale, hands on the ground, and change sides. So front knee back, other foot forward. So now your left foot is forward. Walk your right knee back. Your hands up to your front knee. Breathe. And here assess. Assess stability. And for more stability, push into your front heel and squeeze your outer hips together. Draw the low belly, so the area below the navel, pull back away from your front thigh. As you do that, bring the shoulder blades bring your shoulders back over your hips and drop your shoulder blades away from your ears. Again, bring the elbows up into a cactus position. And with the points of the elbows slightly lower than the tops of the shoulders, press the top of the upper arm bones back. Take the head and move the spine between the shoulder blades and lift the center of the chest up. So again, feel into and even question, am I doing this in my lower back? Am I tilting the pelvis and arching my lower back to give me a lift in the chest? Or am I just moving the spine between my shoulder blades in? Inhale here. Exhale. Downward facing dog. Or if that's not appropriate, you could come into a standing forward bend right away. So with the hands shoulder distance apart, walk the feet back, lift the hips up, press back Adho Mukha Svanasana, downward facing dog. Press the weight of the arms down into the knuckles at the base of the first fingers
and the heels of the thumbs. And we do that to bring balance, the tendency to have the weight just on the outer edges of the hands. So how much means that you keep weight on the outer edges of the hands and the inner edges of the hands. Micro bend the elbows with the shoulder blades away from the ears. Now turn the outsides of the arms, the triceps, down and around toward the sides of the face. And as you pull your hips back away from your wrists, let the shoulder blades move up toward the ears. Descend the heels, rounding the lower back. Inhale here, exhale. And then with the next breath in, look forward and walk up to your hands. Standing forward bend. Take the feet wide enough apart that you can get your fingertips to the ground. And even bend your knees to allow that to happen. So if we have more capacity in the standing forward bend, then we have more stabilizing work to do. And if the body is more resistant to the standing forward bend, then we want to invite the flexibility. So if you're inviting flexibility, push your heels apart, and as you push your heels apart, stretch your legs straighter. If you're stabilizing with your legs straight, hug the outer hips strongly in until you feel the low belly lift. And as the low belly curls back away from the tops of the thighs, everybody stretch the crown of the head toward the ground, whether your legs are slightly bent, deeply bent, or very straight. Inhale, bend the knees a bit, place your hands on your hips. Exhale, lift your chin, push into your heels, and inhale, come all the way up. Exhale. Turn and face the long edge of your mat. And then interlace your hands behind your back. Bend your elbows to the sides. And as you interlace your hands behind your back, notice that the tops of the shoulders roll forward. Now squeeze the elbows just in enough toward each other that they point straight back to the wall behind you. Move your head back. And then press the shoulder blades deeply into the upper back so that again you feel the lift from the shoulder blades moving in to the upper back. Keep the head back and watch that temptation to sway the lower back to give more lift to the chest. As you lift the center of the chest up, keep the head back. And then maintain that, release the arms. And if you've created an internal experience of that lift in the chest, there's a weightlessness in the arms here. And then change the interlacing of the hands. The hands interlaced behind your back. Bend the elbows. Bring the elbows in toward each other just enough that they point straight back toward the wall behind you. Some of us can do that way too much. Move the head back. And then press the shoulder blades into the upper back to lift the center of the chest up. Breathe. So the invitation is to feel space across the front and the back of the body for the breath in the chest area. And so the question is, how can I adjust in service of more space, not just in the front, but also in the back, and feel like I can take a deep, full breath into the upper chest. One more breath here. And then keeping that lift, release the arms, feel the consequence of that experience. Lightness of the arms. Good, and then inhale, step the feet really wide apart. Trikonasana, triangle pose. So turn the left foot slightly in,
rotate the right leg and foot out. Press the top of your left thigh bone back toward the wall behind you and hug your right buttocks underneath you. Stretch the arms to the side just for a moment. Inhale. And then as you exhale, bend the elbows and interlace the hands behind your back. So do what we just did. Squeeze the elbows just a little bit toward each other. And the bendier you are in your shoulder joints and your elbows, the less you do that. Move the head back and shoulder blades into the upper back. Now keeping the hands like this, shift your hips to the left and lean your right shoulder over your right baby toe. Reach your knuckles slightly toward your left heel. Move your head back. Shoulder blades deeply into the upper back. Feel your legs hold you in place. And then keeping all of that, especially keeping the width across the front of the chest, take the right hand down to your heel. Stretch the left arm up. Feel like nothing changed, even though your arms are in a different position. So push into the back heel, hug your front hip underneath you, lift the chest, and then pushing into both heels, inhale, come up. Exhale, lower the arms, turn the feet. And then the second side, so turn the left foot in. Turn the left leg and foot out. Press your back heel down. Plant the side of your front foot and hug your front hip underneath you. Change the interlacing of the hands behind your back. Squeeze the elbows in a little bit to have the elbows point straight back. Feel the width across the front and the back of the upper part of the torso. Maintain that. Shift your hips to the left, to the right. Lean over so that your left shoulder lines up with your left baby toe. Push into your back heel. Hug your front hip underneath you. Head back, heart up. Now, feel the width that you've created. And with the question of how do I maintain that even as I change positions, take the left hand down to the leg, sweep the right arm up. Breathe. Stabilize in the leg, so push into the back heel, big toe side of the front foot, and hug your left hip underneath you more. Feel the lift across the front and the back of the torso. And then pushing into your heels, inhale, come all the way up. Exhale, turn the feet, lower the arms. Inhale, step the feet together. Extended side angle, Parsvakonasana. Inhale, step the feet maybe even a little wider apart. Turn your left foot slightly in. Rotate your right leg and foot out. Interlace the hands behind your back just like you did for triangle pose. Push your back heel down. Take a deep breath in. Exhale, bend your right knee to a square. Angle your front knee straight over your middle toes. And now with the elbows pointing straight back toward the wall behind you, lift the chest. Twist the chest a little bit to the left. And now lean your right shoulder over the back of your right knee. Breathe. Feel the lift and the width across the chest. Press the shoulder blades into the upper back. Take the head back. Feel how much work is happening in your legs to hold yourself here. And using your front buttocks and pressing your back heel down. Keep the lift in the chest. Inhale, come all the way back up. Exhale, release the hands. Turn the feet. And then the second side. So turn the left foot in a bit. Nope. Right foot in a little bit. Left leg and foot out. Change the interlacing of the hands behind the back. Push your back heel down. Plant the big toe side of your front foot. Exhale, deeply bend your left knee. As you bend your left knee, point the elbows straight back toward the wall behind you. Move your head back. Feel the shoulder blades engage in the upper back, and then lean your left shoulder over your left knee. And plant your right heel. Keep your front knee pointing straight forward so it doesn't tip in or out. Lengthen the sides of the torso. Keep it away from the knee. Take your head back and press the shoulder blades more fully into the upper back. Feel the work in the leg. Yourself steady. And then pushing into your heels, inhale, come up. Exhale, turn the feet. And now inhale, release the arms and step the feet together. Utkatasana, stand with the big toes touching. This is chair pose or powerful pose. Squeezing the legs together. Exhale. And knees sit deeply down. Touch the fingertips to the ground. Now feel the same work in the legs. So hug the outer hips in, push down into the heels, and then pull the low belly back. Now bring your hands up to your knees. With your hands on your knees, just for a moment, draw the shoulder blades down. Now with the hands on the knees, lightly push into the knees, move your head back, and keeping the low belly back, now curl the center of your chest up. Excellent. So you can stay here. You can take the hands just to shoulder height, palms down, or palms toward each other, and take the arms back alongside the ears, but keep that lift in the upper chest. So in whatever position you are, weight the sitting bones into the heels. Keep the heels heavier than the toes. Scoop back the low belly. Lift the center of the chest. And then pushing into your heels, inhale, come all the way up. Exhale, release your arms to your sides. Good. Warrior one, Virabhadrasana 1. Inhale, step the feet really wide apart. Put your hands on your hips. Turn your left foot in strongly. Rotate your right leg and foot out. Move your right foot a bit over to the right. Turn your left thigh around more, even moving your left heel further away from you, so that you can face the short edge of the mat with your hips. So now press the top of your left thigh bone back and descend your heel. Keeping your front heel heavy, inhale. Lift the center of the chest up, and as you exhale, bend your front knee deeply. So as you bend your front knee deeply, lean forward over your front leg. Shift your hips back and plant your back heel. So make your back heel heavy, and that's a question, like how heavy can I make my back heel? And then keeping your front knee pointing straight forward and firming the outer hips. Scoop the low belly back, just like we did in the low lunge. And with the low belly back, bring your elbows up to a cactus position. So place the elbows just below the tops of the shoulders and slightly forward rather than back behind. Drop the shoulder blades down, keeping the buttocks firm and the low belly lifted. Now, move the top of the upper arm bones back. Take the head back. Press the shoulder blades forward and lift the center of the heart up. Maybe lift the chin a bit. Sit down a little lower if that's possible. Keep the lift of the center of the heart. And then pushing into your heels. Inhale, stretch your front leg straight. Exhale, turn your feet. Lower your hands. Line your toes up. And then the second side, put your hands on your hips. Spin your right foot around. Turn your left leg and foot out. Move your left foot over enough that you can face the short edge of the mat. So how much is relative to your capacity to be steady
and to have your torso facing the short edge of the mat. Turn the outside edge of your right hip more forward. Plant your front heel. Inhale. Exhale. Deeply bend your front knee, aiming it straight over your middle toes. Then lean forward. And as you bow forward over your front leg, press the top of your back thigh toward the wall behind you and spin the outside of that hip forward. Squeeze the outer hips in. Peel back the low belly and bring your shoulders over your hips. Bring your elbows to shoulder height. Drop the elbows down. Move the top of the upper arm bones back, keeping the low belly in and the shoulder blades descending. Take your head back. Now press the shoulder blades forward and curl the center of the heart up. Your chin might automatically lift with that movement, and that's great. If you have to lift your chin, consider not lifting the chin and instead moving the shoulder blades forward and lifting the heart up until the chin lifts as a follow of the heart. One more breath. Now push into both heels. Inhale, come up. Exhale, turn the feet, lower the hands, and inhale, step the feet together. Face the short edge of the mat. Separate the feet well, standing forward bend. Inhale. And now as you exhale, hinge from the tops of the legs. Bend your knees as needed. Touch your fingertips to the ground. Release your head. Take a breath or two here. And just notice the sensation in the lower back. So if we've been working well in the legs and in the low belly, the lower back ideally will be more responsive to the forward bend position. With your fingertips touching the ground, if your legs are not yet straight, as you inhale, press the heels out, stretch the legs straighter. If your legs are straight, you're doing more stabilizing work by squeezing the outer hips and the lower part of the buttocks around the sitting bones in. Pull the low belly back, stretch the crown of the head toward the ground. Inhabit the pose, questioning, is this appropriate? How much more do I need to do? How much less do I need to do? And then we're gonna do a lunge again. So bend the knees, place the fingertips beside the feet. Inhale, step the left foot back, straight leg lunge. And drop your left knee down to the ground. So if you need support for the left, the blanket or flip over the edge of the mat. And then bring your hands up to your front knee. Sink your hips down. Keep your right hand on your right knee. Inhale, stretch your left arm up alongside your left ear. If that's not appropriate for your shoulder, just keep your hand on your hip. Stretch up. And now as you exhale, side bend to the right. So as you side bend to the right, keep your front knee pressing forward. Squeeze the outer hips in. Lean over. And now if you get more sensation by bending your elbow, your left elbow, and more sensation is appropriate, you could bend the elbow. You could also keep the arm straight. You can also keep your hand on your hip. One more breath. And then inhale, come back up. Exhale, touch the ground, lift your back knee, and then inhale, step the back foot forward. Exhale here, and then inhale the other foot back. So front knee over front heel. Drop your left knee down. By squeezing the legs, the outer hips in, and pressing your front heel down. and bring your hands to your front knee. Either right hand on your right hip or right arm up alongside your right ear. Inhale, shoulders over the hips, and then as you exhale, side bend to the left. Keep your front knee pointing straight forward. Lengthen all the way from your right hip to your right fingertips, and maybe bend your elbow, maybe not. One more breath. Inhale up. Exhale, downward facing dog from here. So place your hands flat, lift your back knee, step your front foot back. Child's pose is another option. Look at your hands, make sure they're shoulder width apart. Press into the knuckles at the base of your fingers, first fingers and the heels of your thumbs to bring balance to the tendency to have the weight on the outer edges of the hands. With the elbows slightly bent, turn the triceps toward your face. Now pull your hips back until you feel length along the sides of the torso, through the spine. And when you pull the outer hips back and squeeze them in, the low belly naturally comes back toward the spine slightly. Then with the legs straight, press down into the heels. Inhale. Exhale. Either bend your knees to the ground, bring your shoulders forward over your wrists, and somehow come down onto your stomach. Lying on your stomach. Take your hands back by your thighs. So if interlacing your hands behind your back has been working for your shoulders, keep your hand, then interlace your hands behind your back. Otherwise, put your hands at your sides. Today, if it's comfortable or mildly uncomfortable for the neck, to have the chin on the ground, do that. If that's really not a good idea for your neck, then put your forehead on the ground. So if you can keep your chin on the ground, walk your chin a little forward so that you feel length on the front of the throat. With your hands interlaced or by your sides, press the tops of the feet down. Locust pose, Shalabhasana. Scoop the low belly up. Firm the muscles of the buttocks. Now bend the elbows just a little bit, even if your hands are on the ground, so that the points of the elbows point straight up to the ceiling. Lift the top of the upper arm bones slightly, just a little bit away from the ground. And then, keeping the legs and the feet on the ground, inhale, lift the head and chest up. As you lift the head and chest up, keep the elbows facing straight away from you, the points of the elbows, with the elbows shoulder distance apart. Lift your hands a little bit, keep the elbows bent. Now press the shoulder blades into the upper back. Firm the muscles of the buttocks, lift the chest. Exhale, come down. Change the interlacing of the fingers. Press the tops of the feet down. Scoop up the low belly. Firm the muscles of the buttocks. Walk your chin forward. And then with the elbows pointing straight away from the body at shoulder distance apart, inhale and come up. As you come up, breathe. And then feel, how much work do I have to do in my legs and my buttocks to support the lift in the chest, to support my lower back? How much can I press the shoulder blades forward and use my arms to do that without hyper straightening the elbows? Feel, question, experiment. Exhale, come down. Release your hands. With your arms at your sides, bend your knees just enough that your heels are right over your hips. No, sorry. So that your heels are right over your knees. If, again, it's available for you, walk your chin forward. Scoop up the low belly. So now we're gonna lift the knees up, the head and chest as well, but especially the knees. And I want you to feel the work that the muscles in the backs of your legs and your buttocks are doing. So, how much you lift the head and chest is less significant than lifting the knees, and even if they don't lift far. So with the feet flexed, feel your heels. Scoop up the low belly, engage the muscles of the buttocks, and now with an inhale, lift the knees up off the ground. As you lift the knees up, feel the work in the muscles of the buttocks, the backs of the legs. Maybe lift the head and chest. Lift the knees. And then exhale, come down. If you have imbalances in your pelvis, like sacroiliac issues or things like that, you might want to have your big toes touch for the second one so that you are lifting both knees the same amount. So one more time. Chin forward. Belly in. Buttocks firm. Maybe big toes touch. Exhale, and now as you inhale, lift the head, chest, and the knees. Feel the work, and notice that engaging the buttocks might give you more lift. And then exhale, come down. Turn your thighs slightly in. One more. So this time we're going to do full Dhanurasana, so that's holding your ankles. If your arms are not able to hold your ankles, then you'll repeat what we just did. So if you can hold the ankles, bend the knees, reach back, catch your ankles. Bend the elbows. And with the elbows slightly bent, point the elbows straight up toward the ceiling. Flex your feet a little bit. So you're going to work the legs just like you did in the previous position. Walk your chin out away from your chest. And then as you inhale, lift up, head, chest, and knees. As you lift the knees up, feel the work in the buttocks. Push your shins back toward the wall behind you. Lift the chest. And then exhale and come down. Roll all the way over. Simply roll over onto your back. Bend your knees and place your feet on the ground. So with your knees bent and your feet on the ground, maybe walk your heels a little closer to you, maybe not. So you want to find that place where you can press into the heels. So that's a question, right? How do I adjust my legs? How much do I bend my knees to really strongly be able to press down into my heels? So feeling the contact down through the center of the heels into the ground. Tuck the tops of the shoulders underneath you. Bend your elbows. Press the top of the upper arm bones down into the ground more than the elbows. And just slightly lengthen the back of the neck here. Now keeping your knees hip width apart so they don't splay open. It's the same position that we just did, just upside down. So feeling into the backs of the legs and the buttocks. Draw your heels slightly in toward your hips without really moving them. And as that fires the muscles on the backs of the legs and the buttocks, inhale, lift your hips up. Tuck the tops of the shoulders underneath you. Press the head of the upper arm bones down. Push your heels down. Feel the muscles of the buttocks. And now use them to lift the hips up. As you lift the hips up, draw the center of the chest toward the chin by pressing the shoulder blades into the upper back. Keep the elbows bent. Press the top of the upper arm bones down. Lift the hips way up. And then keeping the knees hip bone distance apart and without losing the engagement, Use the musculature on the back of the body to slowly control. Bring your hips back down. We'll do that a second time. So with the elbows bent and even slightly out away from you, press the top of the upper arm bones down. Find that position where you can really strongly push into the heels. Drag the heels a little bit toward your hips. And feel that fire the muscles on the backs of the legs and the buttocks. Maintain that inhale, lift the hips way up. Tuck shoulders underneath you. Push into the heels. Curl the chest toward the chin by pressing the shoulder blades into the upper back. Lift the outside of the hips more than the inner thighs. Push down, lift up. Push down with the heels at the top of the arm bones, lift the hips up. And then slowly, with control, come down. And then roll all the way to your right side. Sit up. And grab the support that you have for your knees if you've been using support for your knees. So we're going to move toward camel pose, Ustrasana, without any expectation of executing the entire pose. And more as an opportunity to play with the same engagement that we've been working with, just in a different plane. So, come onto your knees and separate your knees hip distance apart. Bring your hips just over your knees. And then I often tend to start this pose already in a sway back position. So instead I want to find length in the torso. So that means I have to draw the buttocks down and press them forward. So for people, and that means quite a lot of engagement for me. That may be the same for you. For some people, less engagement in the buttocks might give them more opportunity to create the lift in the chest. So that's what we're going for in this first position. So place your hands on your hips with your thumbs toward the spine. Draw the elbows just in enough that they point straight back. So you're not squeezing the elbows in, you're not pulling the shoulder blades toward the spine. They may go in a bit toward the spine, but you're doing it just because you pointed the elbows back. Then descend the buttocks down. And as you descend the buttocks down, you can even use your thumbs to help with that movement. Lift the sides of the torso out of the pelvis, lift the rib cage up. And then press the shoulder blades into the upper back until the center of the chest lifts. So with the center of the chest lifting, press your hips a little bit more forward and curl backwards just enough that you can still, or that you can create a lift in the very center of the chest. See if you can get the center of the heart to point straight up to the ceiling. Keep your hands on your hips, elbows in, heart up. And then inhale, use your buttocks again, your legs come back up to the vertical position. So if you have discomfort in your lower back, often that means you need to do more work in the buttocks and more lift in the chest, as opposed to just creating the bend in the lower back. We're going to do it one more time. Well, we're going to do it 2 more times, but you can stay at whatever position makes sense. So if having your hands on your hips helps you support the lower back, hands on your hips. If you don't know the answer to this question, keep your hands on your hips. If you know that bringing your arms up into the cactus position is available for you and you can curl back, keeping your arms in a cactus position, bring your hands into a cactus position. So with your knees over your hips, drop the buttocks down and press them forward. So it's the same work in the legs that we did on the belly. Either hands on your hips, thumbs in, drawing your buttocks down, or elbows bent just below the tops of the shoulders in cactus position. Wherever you are, lift the back ribs away from the pelvis. Lift the front ribs away from the pelvis. So you feel like you're being squeezed into length. So that the center of the torso is getting longer. And then with the shoulder blades down, away from the ears, press the top of the upper arm bones back. Firm the buttocks, press them forward, and then press the shoulder blades into the upper back to curl the center of the heart up. As you curl the center of the heart up, think you're getting longer, and you're like over a huge beach ball or one of those big exercise balls. Press the hips forward, curl the heart up, and then inhale, come back up, use your buttocks. Exhale, release your arms. So last one. Possibly you're going to catch your heels. So if this is a position that is less familiar to you, you might stay at one of these first two positions. If you know that it's a good idea for you to tuck your toes under, or you're not familiar with this pose, tuck your toes under. And if you know that having your feet extended and the tops of the feet flat on the ground is available for you, and you can hold your ankles from there, or your heels, then do that. So again, the question is not, how do I get to the final pose? The question is, how can I experiment and experience my body and inhabit my body in the process of moving into this position? So, hands to the hips. With the hips over the knees, drop the buttocks down, press the buttocks forward. And as you do that, pull the back of the rib cage up, away from the top of the pelvis, so that especially the soft tissue area of the waist and the lower back is long. Then either keep your hands on your hips or put your elbows into the cactus position. Doesn't matter which arm position you're in. Inhale, press the top of the arm bones back just enough that you feel the shoulder blades engage in the upper back, and then curl back some amount. As you curl back some amount, lift the center of the heart up. If the center of the heart is relatively facing the sky, you have permission to take one hand down and then the other hand down and look for your heels. That's not necessary. If you have your heels or your ankles, keep the elbows from squeezing tight in toward each other, so that there's a micro bend in the elbows and the elbows are widening side to side. Press the shoulder blades into the upper back, curl the heart, maybe lift the chin, maybe release the head back. Firm the buttocks, put your hands on your hips. Inhale, come up, exhale. Good job. So now supporting the head with a blanket or a small pillow. Come down onto your back and just pause for several moments on your back with your knees bent and your feet on the ground. Let the body settle. Check in. Checking in means asking the question of, how did I honor my body through those movements? How much did I inhabit my body? And these aren't questions that evoke judgment. They're more just that continued exploration of my capacity to be in myself, alone, in my own experience, in my own body, in what my own body needs. And that's the gift of the yoga practice. It's not about the fancy poses. It's that capacity to tune into our own needs and inhabit our own experience fully. So now you can either keep the left knee bent, or you can stretch the left leg straight on the ground. We're going to draw the right knee toward the chest. So drawing the right knee in, catch the back of the left thigh with your hands, or maybe reach around, hold the front of the shin. So watch the temptation to really just push the lower back into the ground. And here, weight the back of the pelvis down. Keep a slight curve in the lower back. And then just draw the right knee toward the right shoulder, so that while you maintain that sense of lightness in the lower back and length, the lower back may release slightly. So working with sensitivity, even a delicateness here. And then releasing your hands, put your right foot on the ground, and then change sides. So if your left leg was straight, bend it. Stretch the right leg straight. Feeling the weight across the back of the pelvis and maintaining that, lift the left knee in. Catch the back of the left thigh or the front of the shin. And then with gentleness, draw the left knee in. Breathe. And then exhale, release the left. Bend both knees, pause just for a moment here. And then again, you can keep the left knee bent or you can stretch it straight. This time we're going to stretch the right leg straight. So catch the back of your right thigh with your hands. Flex your foot a little bit and push your heel away from you so that your arms are straight-ish, meaning you haven't pulled the tops of the shoulders forward. There's still some sense of width across the front of the chest. And then it doesn't matter how straight you make your leg, but now press your right heel away from you, stretch the leg straighter. If the muscles in the backs of the legs are resistant, I suggest that you bend and straighten with the breath. So maybe exhale, bend, inhale, straighten. If you have more capacity here, you're pushing your thigh into your hands when your leg is straight, as opposed to pulling the leg in toward the chest. One more breath. And then bend, release. Change sides, so right leg straight on the ground or right leg bent. Little hollow in the lower back. Draw the left knee in, catch the back of the thigh right in the center of the thigh, the juicy part. Flex the foot a little bit, move the thigh away from you into your hands, and stretch the leg straighter. So again, you're moving the leg into the hands as opposed to pulling the leg into the chest with your arms. Maybe bend and straighten. Last breath or two. And then bend, release, place that foot on the ground. Cross your right knee all the way over your left, so your knees are stacked one right on top of the other. And then lift your knees in over your chest. So you could catch the top knee, the bottom knee, or perhaps reach around and hold your ankles or even the outsides of your feet. Wherever you are, keep the weight relatively even on both sides of the pelvis. Take the feet away from you. And draw the knees in lightly toward the center of the torso.
So again, the lower back may touch the ground, but the weight stays across the back of the pelvis. One more breath. And then releasing the hands, put the foot down, uncross. Change sides across the left knee all the way over the right so the knees are stacked. Lift the knees in. Catch either top knee, bottom knee, or outer ankles or outer feet. Again, have that sense of width across the front of the chest. Maintain a sense of space behind the lower back and feel the weight in the back of the pelvis. Again, if the body is less responsive to this position, less comfortable here, moving a little bit, taking the knees further away, drawing them in a little bit, walking the feet apart and squeezing them in, and taking them apart and squeezing them in, bringing a little movement into positions that are more resistant or rigid can be useful. If you tend to have more movement in your body, you want to squeeze the hips and hold that sense of stability even as you draw the feet apart in opposite directions. One more breath. And then release. Put the right foot down, uncross the left. Draw both knees toward your chest, hug them in a little bit. Keeping the shoulder blades away from the ears, you could curl the head toward the chin. Again, without really strongly pushing the vertebrae of the lower back down into the ground. And then from here, we'll move into the final relaxation. So, as you're ready, put your head back down. Support the head, the backs of the knees. Come into a position that is available and restful. Close your eyes. Take your feet out to the sides and let them roll open some amount. Take the arms to the sides of the body and rotate the arms so that the palms face up, or bend the elbows and place the palms down on the torso. Shavasana is a moment of aloneness. And as David Whyte says, to be alone for any length of time is to shed an outer skin. So as you settle into Shavasana, let your outer skin dissolve. That's on the physical level, but also on the energetic level, meaning let the edges of the skin dissolve into the earth underneath you and the air around you. And let the energetic boundaries and layers of armor also be shed. And that's simply by relaxing. The body is inhabited in a different way alone than when we are with others. So let yourself feel into
and fully inhabit your form. Feel into the full experience of the shape that is you. And explore with curiosity all the questions. Where am I holding tension? How can I let go more? What does relaxation really feel like? Who am I at the deepest level? And without needing answers, feel into and be in the questions. Deepen your breath. And as you deepen your breath, consciously intend to not wrap up in that layer that has been shed. And with the next breath, bend the elbows, place the palms lightly down on the abdomen if they're not already there. One at a time, place the feet on the ground, and then supporting the head with the right arm as needed, roll to your right side and pause on your right side. And then pressing down with your left hand, bring yourself up. Come to sit. And sit with your eyes closed. Join your hands together at your heart. To inhabiting our body, shedding all of the outer layers, and being present inside ourselves in the way that we would be if we were completely alone. And feeling into the questions rather than the statements. We'll close with one Om. Exhale. Take a deep breath in. Thank you. Namaste.